Okay.
But the parent is tomorrow at 11:30. So it's like a day and a half Ekadasi, something like that, right?
Right.
So sometimes it's early, but tomorrow will be like 11:30.
Yeah, I don't think I've heard of it being quite that late. That is quite late. Yeah. I mean, I'm not an expert in any of that at all, so I can't really comment. But we know it's depending upon the timing of that particular phase of the moon. So somehow it's quite late in New York City.
Yeah. I have a question from the Sermons of the Guardian of Devotion, the volume 2.
Yes.
I was reading these days, and it's something that Srila Guru Maharaj explained here that I want you to try to explain a little more. He said that the soul is not the final substance. Compared to matter, the soul is spiritual, but at the same time, he may be considered like matter in comparison to his knower, the super soul, and Paramatma. So actually, the Jiva soul is inferior to the nature of the soul in Krishna. It's not the same level, right? That's what.
Yes. That's right. We are of a grosser nature. We are not as subtle as there are superior energies. Yeah. Oh, very nice to see Jason has joined us. We've been missing you. And also Vishakha Didi's joined us. She's not usually here. Very nice.
Dandavats Vishakha Didi.
Ramananda Prabhu's here. Dandavats. The Jita Krishna joined, and Dana. Welcome, everyone. Yeah, you've opened up a very interesting subject matter, Rasaraj. And something that may be a little discouraging to the ego of some persons. We are not equal to the supreme substance. Yes, I mean, yes, it is true. There is Swarup Shakti, right? Swarup Shakti is higher than us. We are Jiva Shakti or Tatastha Shakti. So we are of a purely spiritual nature, but there is gradation, right? We are from this, what we call the marginal zone, right? Where we have the option of turning away, But there is another Shakti, referred to as Swarup Shakti, that is, of a superior nature and is more closely, you could say, constitutionally more closely connected to Krishna. And they also have the ability constitutionally to approach Krishna more closely. We have a mic on. Could you? Thank you. And this is an interesting point which Srila Sridhar Maharaj has discussed. Maybe it's one of those things that we don't like to, talk about too much because it can be discouraging. Especially for newer person, like, oh, I didn't read that in the fine print. Like, you're never going to be part of the intimate #1 group, because actually we're constitutionally not equipped. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj, she gives the analogy of the sun, right? That we can only tolerate the heat of the sun at a particular point of adjustment, right? So in the same way, Srila Sridhar Maharaj points out, like, the intensity of Krishna's beauty, right? The intensity of Krishna's divine aura, his divine vibration, we're constitutionally not equipped to directly interface with that. We just can't. In the same way that we cannot, go too close to the sun. right? But there are other entities who can tolerate more heat from the sun, right? So there, you know, there's, so surrounding Krishna, there's the first circle, right? Like Nanda, Jashoda, and there are all of these rasas meaning here the different relationships with Krishna, right? And they, you know, so in Vatsalya rasa, the parental relationship, right? There's Nanda, Jashoda, right? In the Madhur, right? Madhura, the lovers relationship, Radharani, right? Lalita, Vishakha, and so on. So the intimate serving group directly, you know, serving Radharani, Krishna. So, you know, and then you have in Sakya Rasa, the friendship, relationship of friendship, Subal, you know, Sridham, right? They're constitutionally equipped to directly interface with Krishna, right? And they are also known, the name of their Shakti, their energy, that potency of Krishna is Sarup Shakti. They're of that caliber. And so they have that ability, but we don't, you know, we, like at most, Srila Sridhar Maharaj mentioned, it's like 3 or 4 times removed. No, that's how much close we can go. No. And then, you know, well, then if we're going to go a little high, you know, we can say that our gurus have specifically identified the Manjari class, right? That they are the young girls who are assisting the older gopis, the older maidens, cowherd maidens of Vrindavan. The Manjaris are the young girls. And the Jiva Shakti is able to enter that class. And so our gurus, they have identified that this is the highest attainment of the Jiva, you know, to have some service place there. And and within that group, the Manjari group, then they are serving, there are different group leaders, right? There's also the indirect group who are serving Krishna in an indirect way, creating some element of competition. That is the Chandravali's group, right? But we are interested in the direct group, the direct line of service. And that is Radharani's group, right? Radharani's camp. But we could not directly approach Radharani, you know, so we're serving, you know, under, you know, Lalita is serving under Radharani, and Rupa Manjari, in one way you could say, is serving under Lalita, but she also has her own relationship with Radharani. But then particularly under Rupa, we are told, Rupa Manjari, you know, we are told she is the head of this Manjari group, young girl servitors. And so serving under her, Sri Rupa, you know, we are told that represents the highest attainment of the Jiva. The Jiva soul has entrance there. You know? And the Jiva, they're also, to be Jiva Shakti of the marginal potency, it does not necessarily mean that we have you know, been through what we've been through, right? Turning away from the Lord, right? There are also in the eternal paraphernalia, you know, like Shivas Thakur, we hear, you know, he is Jiva Shakti, right? We hear that, but he is part of the eternal entourage of the Lord. So yes, I mean, I don't know how much more I can really say on these things, but yes, it is an interesting point, perhaps a little unpalatable to some, you know, that we are not of the even at our highest attainment, you know, we're not going to be of the highest category, you know, that we're just constitutionally not equipped for that we are of a different nature. But we can also say it's not that we are getting anything less. You know, we are assured that you will be submerged in indescribable, you know, never-ending wondrous oceans of bliss and joy. You know, there's no dearth of that. There's no lack of that. So we don't need to worry about that. to our beyond our maximum, you know, we can attain that, you know, degree of joy, right? There is no lack of joy. We don't have to worry about no lack of fulfillments. We don't have to worry about that. So I think that's probably all I could say on that. Anything else you were thinking on that point, Rasaraj Prabhu?
No, actually, that Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj used to give it not so many details, but they say it's a matter and a spirit, or matter and soul. But actually, Srila Guru Maharaj give more details. And those details sometimes are a little confusing, no? It's like a matter have different degrees or different grades of purity, or they are from gross matter to gases and all that, and in the spirit it's almost the same. Go from some grosser soul to finer. But actually we never heard before that the soul, the jiva soul compared to Krishna is like matter. It looks like it's something that is a little, well, confusing, but I understand what you say. I mean, very clear.
And, you know, and this is also, you know, another point related to this is you know, the fact that, you know, this highlights the fact that we can only enter that higher plane on grace, right? Because the Srila Sridhar Maharaj should always quote this line, you know, how does it go? Sakala Vaikunter Vyadi, Vaikunter Pritvyadi, Sakala Chinmoy. That in that divine realm, everything is Chinmoy. Everything is divine, conscious substance. Eternal conscious substance of that. And it is superior to ourselves. The soil of that plane is of a superior stuff. It is finer than the jiva, than the soul, the atma, the soul. The soil is of a higher nature. So that is another reason why we can only enter there by grace. We don't have the right actually to enter, but we can enter there. Is great. Jayudev said everything is Chinmoy. It sounds great. I'll second that. So that is another interesting point. And so what is Srila Sridhar Maharaj comments in this regard? We must walk on our heads there. We have to walk on our heads in that plane because the soil is superior to us. So how can we put our feet on that soil? And he also gives this beautiful analogy that perhaps from a Western mindset doesn't have so much meaning, but that generally the feet are considered inauspicious, right? They're little filthy, the feet in the Vedic culture. And so the baby, right? The mother is taking the baby on her lap, right? The mother is worshipable, right? The mother is a worshipable being. So how can the child put their feet like that on the lap? It is out of affection, out of affection. She is doing that, and the child is doing that in an innocent, submissive, sweet mood. So it is like that. That higher plane will take us upon its lap, Srila Sridhar Maharaj said. So it is like that. But from a straightforward consideration, actually we're not eligible. And so there's one, Srila Sridhar Maharaj also makes some comment, and sometimes Goswami Maharaj brings this up, that the jiva is an impoverished Shakti, impoverished energy of the Lord, because on our own, we cannot enter that plane, but we need grace, we need grace. And this is where the whole culture of Sharanagati comes in, right? Surrender. That we want to invite that higher grace. And how do we do that? By showing our mood of submission, surrender, inviting the mercy. We need to invite the mercy of that higher plane. And so then this is the point of failure on the lines focused on self-ascension, right? The Shankaracharya's conception, Buddhism, yoga practices, they're focused on elevating ourselves through our own practice. So as Srila Sridhar Maharaj says, that will get you a passport. Well said, Marie. Spoken like a true devotee. It reminds me of one line of Gurudev, very sweet line, where he says that the jiva souls are fortunate because they are so tiny that they can swim in the ocean of Krishna's sweetness, something like that. Marie was saying that we're fortunate to have this poverty because then we can receive mercy. Spoken like a true bhakta. So this is the point of failure, right? Of those of the line of self-ascension, that you can only get so far. That there is a plane that is more subtle than ourselves. That is the Sarup Shakti plane. That is more subtle than ourselves. And so we don't actually have a right to enter there on our own strength. It is only if we receive the grace. So that is the whole thing here. How do we attract divine grace? This is the whole question. This is the whole research point. This is the errand that we are on. How to invite this is our daily, contemplation. What can I do to attract the grace? How can I prove that I'm the most needy of that grace? Amongst all the other plankton? Is that what Marie's saying? Plankton, sorry. I'm not so familiar with fish.
Those are the little microscopic things that the small fish eat.
Oh. So amongst all the other, planktons, is that the plural? How do we prove that we need it more than anyone else? This is our contemplation. So yes, it is an interesting point. Yes, there's more and more subtle types of spirit, right? Yeah, the general is matter and spirit. This is simplistic, but then there's more. There are different types of spirit. There's gradation there also. And then to complicate things even further, you can say actually matter, that is also an expression of spirit. Actually, there's no matter. There's nothing mundane. Right? But that's going to another conversation, which is very complicated. But nice topic, Rasaraj, you brought up. Anyone else have anything for today? Today is also the divine, I see Seva Rupa's raised her hand. Today is also the day of departure of Ramanuja. So I'd like to say a few words if we have time at the end. And we've had few new friends join us. I see a Jamie, excuse me if I'm pronouncing it wrong. We have Bhakta Brian, our dear brother Jayadeva. The Seva Rupa, Didi, please, you had something to say.
Dandavat Pranam. Sorry, my camera's off because we don't have electricity here. But it's so good to be in all of your presence, and my Dandavats and my obeisances to everybody, and you, Vishakha Devi. I think what was on my mind, and this question's being like weighing there for a bit, is I know we are we're here, to pray for service, to do service and seva and that. But also, I think what's been coming through for me is that, okay, but firstly, I don't feel qualified enough. And yeah, just the qualification part and, the inability. So then I find, okay, so I pray to be helped to do the seva. So where's the me part? Is there a me part doing anything, or is it all coming from like guru or from above or from the Vaishnavas? Yeah, so I think my question is, what am I actually doing, or can I actually do anything? Because yeah, it just feels like I'm not able to do anything, without praying or asking for help to do something.
So you're feeling some helplessness.
Yes, and an inability to actually, like in every aspect, it's like even to chant, I can't do that properly, so I have to pray, can't help me to do it, or to I think every aspect, it's I suppose there's also degrees of it, but like to pray, to do some seva, or to bake something, or to do something, I mean, there's always a please help me to do this, because yeah, I don't see which part I'm bringing to the whole like offering, because yeah, sorry, I don't express myself well, so
Well, I think what's really an issue here is that, it's like we're going through a major transition. Right? Because in the mundane plane, right, to achieve anything, there has to be a spirit of self-assertion, right? That we are doing something, right? And to move anywhere, to get anything done, to move forward, right? To get a job, all these things, there has to be this element of assertion, right? That we're doing something, right? And there's this there's this viewpoint, this perspective on things, right? That we are the subject, and everything around us, they're objects. They're objects to our superior subjective existence, right? That's how we're normally interfacing with the environment. That's how we survive, right? In this environment. But then in spiritual culture, we're turning everything around, and it's just something we're not used to. It's kind of like, it's a different movement. It's a different mode. Like, for example, if we're going in front of the deity, right? We're trying to get into that mindset that actually I cannot see the deity. I cannot see the true spiritual form of the deity, but I want to be seen by the deity. That I want, rather than seeing, I want to be seen, right? That's a big mental shift, right? It's a big shift in consciousness. Even when we are taking prasad, right, the holy foodstuffs of the Lord, then our tendency is, oh, right, I am the subject. This is a static object to my vision, right? And I am eating, right? That's how we think, right? But if we are taking prasad, that's not the proper mentality. We want to think this prasadam is higher than me, and I'm serving this prasadam. I'm serving. This is the divine grace of the Lord. He's mercifully given this to me to help purify me and develop my relationship with him. This represents an extension of his affection and grace, right? So I'm actually served by eating this. I'm not just focused on my tongue experience, right? My taste experience, but I'm serving this and I'm tasting and thinking, oh, I'm so glad that the Lord could take something so nice, you know, and that the devotees, they could take something so nice. Or maybe we'll be thinking, oh, I'm so sorry that the Lord had to eat something that tastes like this, you know. However it may be, you know. But everything is being seen from the other side, right? That the existence of that higher entity is foremost. And we are here, we are serving. We're always in a spirit of service. You know, when we are encountering people, right? We're not thinking, oh, how can I use this person to help with my plans, right? Or how can this person support me in this way, you know, mentally, emotionally, or whatever it may be, practically. But, oh, how can I serve this person? How can I help them in their service, in their journey towards the supreme entity? No, it is a total shift. When we are chanting, right? Actually, it's not that I am chanting, right? The name is just a sound vibration that I am vibrating with my tongue. But in the highest realization of chanting, we will be chanted, right? Shabda rupe nache anukam. That divine vibration will dance upon our tongues. That the Lord, in the form of his name, divine sound vibration. Our Gurudev liked this phrase, transcendental sound vibration form of the Lord, Shabda Brahma. That will dance upon our tongue and cause us to chant beyond our control. So we will be chanted, right? So it's a big shift, right? It's a big shift. And naturally, it's something that we will struggle with because we've become conditioned this materialistic way of perceiving and interacting with the environment. So what is our place in all of that, you know? As Srila Sridhar says in one place, you are a drop and you will be in the ocean. You are in the ocean of divine love. We get to be a drop in that ocean of ecstasy. You know, and we are dancing to the Lord's divine flute song. We are dancing in the waves of that divine flow. We are moving with that, like in a symphony. Right? There's the conductor and there are the individual musicians, right? Who are playing their various instruments. So we get to make our little contribution there. You know? We have a part to play in all of that. You know? We're adding something. We have our own unique something to add to bring to the table. We've got something there. But what is that exactly? See, actually, you know, we don't even know yet who we are, what we have to offer. Right? We're still dealing with the covers now. That's what we're dealing with right now. So we're just like trying to go with the program right now. Trying to cooperate. We're trying to show up. You know, we're trying to brush our teeth in the morning. You know, like trying to be good boys and girls. And one day we'll get there. You know, but we're in the stage of sadhana, right? We are in the stage of practice and purification, and arti-nivritti, purification. And you know, the best thing that we can do is try to approach that divine entity with a mood of submission. You know, and the more that we can do that, the more the layers will be removed, will clear, and the bright self will come out more and more. And then we'll find out, you know, what we can do. But right now, we're just trying to cooperate. We're trying to cooperate with that higher flame. And that is not a small thing either. That we have come to such a point, such a clear point of consciousness that we realize, oh, this is my real need. You know, that is not a light thing, not a light thing. And you know, your question also reminds me of our Gurudev. He liked this this pastime of Krishna and Mother Jashoda, the Damodar Leela, right? Of Mother Jashoda tying Krishna, right? Because in the today's Ramanuja Acharya's day, right? In that line, there's this debate about what is surrender. Is surrender like the cat, right? Where the mother cat is carrying the kitten in her mouth, and is surrender like that baby kitten just being carried by the mother, or is surrender like the baby monkey who has to clutch on, you know, to the mother, hold on. So there's this debate in this Sri Sampradaya, Ramanuja's line. And so, you know, some say it's, you know, in other words, right, that we have to work very hard, right? And the other is that, oh, we just let ourselves get carried along, right? You know, which one is it? You know? And Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he harmonized this, saying that in the beginning stage, then the monkey analogy is more appropriate. Because the enemy is within, right? So we have to work hard to assert, you know, the spiritual side. There has to be that sadhana. We have to make an effort because the environment is against us. Our own minds are against us. So there's some work, you know, as my mother was saying a few weeks ago, we're at war, you know, and we need allies. You know? We don't need friends, we need allies. So there's an element of that, right? But then Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, when we are in a higher stage, there's no resistance, right? Because otherwise the ego is like resistance within us that's resisting that flow. Krishna consciousness is a natural flow of the environment. And if you're in a pure, enlightened state, then you're just moving with that flow. There's no resistance, right? But our ego represents resistance, friction, opposition. So then there's struggle, right? So Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, when we're in a higher stage, when we're more advanced, then we may be more like that baby kitten. You know, just going, you know, as like there's that beautiful verse in Prapana Jivanamrita, as I am instructed by a deity within my heart, so do I act. You know, very beautiful. You know, as the, you know, that divine vibration, that divine will is coming through me, then I'm acting accordingly. Right? And is more straightforward. But then our Gurudev, he didn't like the monkey or the cat analogy. He said he didn't like either. But he liked the analogy of the Damodar Leela, that Mother Jashoda is trying to tie Krishna, right? Tie him up to discipline him. And Krishna, by his mystic power, right? The rope that she's pulling, it's always 2 fingers too short. You know, and she's pulling more and more rope, but somehow it's always 2 fingers too short. And then she's at her wits' ends, right? Her hair is falling out, she's sweating, her makeup is smearing, she's huffing and she's puffing. And then finally, when Krishna sees like she's given the maximum of her energy, and then Krishna, he allows himself to be tied, you know, by her devotion. You know, he allows himself to be bound by her devotion. You know. So this Leela is described in Srimad Bhagavatam, our scripture. And then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who's one of the greatest common Vaishnava commentators on the Vaishnava texts. He wrote this commentary on this Leela, this pastime, explaining that, you know, these two fingers, one finger represents the effort of the devotee, the practitioner, you know, their own sincerity, their own effort, their own practice, their own earnest desire. And the other finger represents Krishna's mercy, Krishna's grace. And so when these are like the two magic ingredients. You know? And so when these two come together, you know, then you get that wonderful chemical reaction. You get that buzz that you want. So yes, you know, and this is, remember, this is also a part of Krishna's play. He wants to engage with us. You know, he's also playing with us. No, so we have a part to play in this great universal dance. We have something there. Srila Sridhar Maharaj makes this interesting point, you know, that the absolute is also dependent upon the relative. Because a teacher is made significant by the presence of a student, right? The teacher becomes meaningful if there is a student. So the teacher, you could say, is in an absolute position in one sense, but the teacher is also dependent on a student to make their existence meaningful. You know? And similarly, he says that the perfect is enhanced by the imperfect, right? The perfect becomes meaningful, more meaningful because of the relative existence of the imperfect. So we also are enhancing that higher reality. And remember, there's a rescue mission going on. And a rescue mission is only meaningful if there are people to be rescued. So we're in that group. You know, so we are fortunate. You know, we're also, you know, we're part of the plan. You know, the Lord cares about us. You know, he made this whole arrangement, the whole Vedic system, you know, sent so many great messiahs to this world for us, just for us. Ami Bina Bandhu Ar Kea Chetumar, Mahaprabhu is expressing. Other than myself, who is your friend? I'm your best friend. I came here for you. You know, we have so many beautiful songs that are expressing this mood, this feeling. The Lord has come personally or sent, you know, his close friends, you know, to come to this for people like us, for me, for you. It is a wonderful thing. So on the whole, I would say, you know, what we are trying to do right now is to cooperate, to follow the program that they have laid out for us. And as we go through different stages of purification, then in a more refined way, we will understand what is our contribution. What shade do we add to the palette? That will become, you know, as we progress, that will become more clear to us in a more refined way, you know. But now we're learning how to dot our I's and cross our T's and tie our shoelaces and all these things, you know. Learning the rudiments, you know. And then we'll be able to fly, you know. Does that address your heart's query, Seva Rupa?
Yes, thank you, Vishakha Didi. So perfectly said and given through. Thank you.
I'm glad. Nice question. Does anyone else have anything? We still have some time. Well, we can perhaps mention that Ajita Krishna, were you about to say something? I saw you unmute yourself for a moment.
Yes, I had a question. We're told on reverence won't get us in the right frame of mind to make progress towards the infinite. On reverent, more of a closer relationship than on reverence. But then we see the deity is more of a Vasudeva Krishna, more with the crown and a royalty sort of looking appearance. When we see Krishna as the deity, right? So I'm wondering why the deity is in an on reverence sort of mode, while the idea is to get away from on reverence.
Well, I mean, one thing that is important to remember is that, we have to make a distinction between what the ideal is and what is our current level of practice. That is something that is important to remember. And in this regard, we have been given this very valuable verse by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. Matala Harijana Kirtana Range, Pujala Ragapata Gaurava Bange. That we are doing puja, we are doing worship of the Ragapat, the plane of free, spontaneous, natural, automatic devotion. But we ourselves, we are remaining in a lower plane, and we are Gaurava Bange, Puja Ragapata Gaurava Bange, that we are in a posture. Gaurava Bange means a posture of respect. And also, what is it? Puja Ragapata Gaurava, Matala Harijana. That also indicates that we are following some element of Vidhi Marg, right? These are the two types of devotion. That Vidhi Marg and Raga Marg. And Vidhi Marg means the line of rules, regulations, regulated devotional life. And then Raga represents the free, spontaneous, natural, automatic devotion to the Lord. Where, so as a simple example, in Vidhi Marg, if you want to give an apple to the Lord, then, you will wash that apple. First, you will bathe, freshly clean clothes, you will wash that, and nothing in your kitchen can have touched, your mouth in any way. The whole kitchen must be pristine and, dedicated exclusively for the Lord. Then you will prepare that apple very nicely. And then you will offer that to the Lord with some mantras, right? With some prayers, like that. Then you will transfer that to another plate, and then you will take the prasadam, right? This is offering an apple in Vidhi Marg. And then how do you offer an apple in Raga Marg? You pull it off the tree, you take a bite, you say, oh, this tastes very nice. Krishna, here. And you hand it to Krishna. You got to taste this. It's so good. This is offering an apple in Raga Marg, So that's the ideal. Ideal means something that's up here that we think is the best, but we don't necessarily practice it right now because we're not ready for that. Why? Because now we are contaminated by the spirit of selfishness. So we're like, we're risky people. When we do something, we can't quite be sure why we did it. Did I really do that for Krishna, or did I do it because, I wanted to taste that, or I wanted to do that? When I got when I offered that pizza last night, did I really offer that because I thought Krishna wanted it, or is it because I wanted it? So, so then that's why we're following some regulated serving life, because we're in a mixed condition. But once we are pure, we can do anything and everything. It's all freedom there. It's all complete freedom. So now, now we are, our Gurudev, he expressed this very nicely one day when we were in Navadvip. We are following Raga Marg hidden inside a Vidhi Marg. He said it like that. And he actually said, like, because there's sometimes this confusion or even debate over whether we're following, because sometimes people say we're following Vidhi Marg now and we'll follow Raga Marg later. But actually the truth is we couldn't follow Vidhi Marg now, even if we wanted to. Because it's just not our cultural upbringing. We don't have that samskar, right? But anyway, that's another discussion. But Gurudev, he expressed it like this: that actually we are following Raga Marg. But from the beginning, he said, but hidden inside of Vidhi Marg. And he harmonized, he explained it like this, that what does Raga Marg really mean? He said it means hankering, that there's that earnest desire to please the inner will of the Lord, right? Where you're not so stuck on the formalities. Like let's say, for example, it's time to serve the deity lunch, but stuff has happened and you're dirty. Then are you going to make the deity wait while you go take a bath and put on your 12 tilaks and chant mantras and etc.? Or are you just going to say, okay, I'm a little dirty right now, but Krishna's hungry, I've got to feed him, so I'm just going to make this offering as it is, and I can chant apavitra pavitra vows purification mantra to throw it in for good measure. So it's like that. And the example our Gurudev gave is very nice, that he said, you're at the train station, you have some service, you got to get to let's say Navadvip, right? You're staying in the temple, you have some service to do, you got to get there by a certain time. You reach the train station, but you're running late. You don't have time to go. If you want to catch that train, you won't be able to go line up for a ticket. In India, you can get on the train. In most countries in the West, at least, you can't get through to the train without having first bought a ticket. Like, you have to go through the barrier. But in India, you can just get on the train without having bought a ticket. And then there may or may not be an inspector. They'll have random inspectors that will come and check, right, that you've paid, whether you paid your ticket. So Gurudev said, no, this is the dilemma, right? You reach the train station, you have to catch this train in order to get to your destination by a particular time, but then you'll be breaking the rules. So what do? Do you miss this train, buy your ticket, and get on a later train, and then you'll be late for the service need? Or do you just break the rules, get on the train without buying a ticket, and be prepared to face the consequences too for not having paid your ticket? So this was Gurudev's point, that the Raga Marg devotee, they are trying to follow Vidhi Marg. Like, I want to buy the ticket. It's not like I think I'm beyond the rules and I can just do whatever the heck I want. No, I want to play by the rules. But right now there's something pressing and I'm ready to break the rules if I need to. This is the spirit that we are trying to follow. So there's an element of both. So yes, we are trying to, there's always the genuine Vaishnava and the genuine practitioners, they're always trying to adhere to a lower level. They will think, I'm not qualified for the higher level. And Gurudev, he'd sometimes reference, there's this one story of one devotee in Jagannath Puri, and Lord Jagannath kind of plays with him and gets him to steal jackfruit for him. This stealing fruit from someone else's garden, and he gets into trouble because of that. but he didn't want to steal the fruit, but Lord Jagannath got him on this whole runaround, So Gurudev was saying, he said, like, the devotee, they're trying to follow the rules, but what can you do? Sometimes Jagannath wants to take them to steal some fruit, from someone's garden. So we want to follow the rules, but sometimes some necessity may come when we have to break those rules. And when I say break the rules, I'm not talking about like the laws of the land, but talking about scriptural rules. We'll try to, as a Gurudev said once, we will follow the law of our society. And in the early days of the Krishna consciousness movement, there was all kinds of madness, like there was this simple-heartedness amongst the newcomers, and they did all kinds of crazy things, stealing and drug dealing, all kinds of things, Someone was telling me some really funny stories the other day. I can't remember, but they had this simple faith. Oh, we can do anything for Krishna, anything and everything. And our Gurudev, he said, like if someone's in a liberated state, they can do anything and everything. But if you're still acting in the plane of karma, then you're not free to do that. You're still living within the world of ego. Then you have to be very careful. You will have to pay the consequences of that. You're acting like you're on such a high plane of faith, but you're not really there. Your ego is still there involved. Then better you follow the laws of your country, at least. But going back to what you're saying about a crown, I don't feel like I can give a definitive answer to that. I would say that maybe Krishna sometimes wears a crown. Why not? We hear some descriptions like that, and also in our altars, they do sometimes put like turbans. It's not that it's only a crown. They do sometimes Krishna wears a turban. But I could also say, possibly cautiously that there is some indication of that in the line of that principle, Pujala Ragapata Gaurava Bhange, that we are encouraged in this stage to worship with some mood of reverence, right? Like if we are offering food to the deity, we're not saying, oh, Krishna cow, Krishna eat. Our Gurudev actually said that we can serve Giriraj like that. Giriraj is very free. The Giriraj, the Govardhan Shila, coming from the Govardhan hill, this stone deity. His worship is very free. You can do that. But otherwise, generally, we're following some particular, regulated, some particular procedures of offering, right? So then I could say, possibly there's some, dressing the deity sometimes in this way with some reverential style. Maybe that is encouraging that a little. But I can also say, that, our Gurudev, our Srila Govinda Maharaj and Srila Sridhar Maharaj, they like to dress the deities in a simple way. Like a lot of our style has been nowadays in our temples, it's been influenced by other groups, shall we say. But the way Srila Sridhar Maharaj and Srila Govinda Maharaj like to dress the deity was very simple, very, very simple. If you look at some of the pictures from the early days of our Navadip Mat, very simple and very beautiful too. And not only because they didn't have so much money, but like once I heard Gurudev saying that, he was describing one outfit he'd seen on the deity where someone had like just taken a white sari, a simple white sari, and they made a dress out of that. And Gurudev was saying, so beautiful, so elegant. And then also another thing is both Srila Govinda Maharaj and Srila Sridhar Maharaj, they consider the deity in a very personal way. So they were thinking not just what looks nice to our eyes, but what's comfortable to wear. No. They didn't like heavy clothes on the deity. They didn't like heavy garlands on the deity. You know, they definitely did not like people putting strings and tying the shawl so it looks nice. Really did not like that. You know, Srila Sridhar Maharaj made some comment about that. What if Krishna wants to go dancing in the middle of the night? You know, like it's pleasing to us, you know, to tie like this in particular ways. It makes it look very attractive. But they're seeing totally different, diametrically opposite. They're seeing a person there. And they're very personal. Our Gurudev liked that a night light would be kept on the altar at night. You know, they're really seeing person there. So, you know, they didn't go for this opulent style of dressing, you know, we can, that we know for sure. And one of our devotees mentioned how she'd bought some very fancy, I believe they were these beautiful red roses. And this was in Vrindavan. And they're feeling very happy and proud about this offering of these garlands, and the deities were wearing them. And our Gurudev came into the temple and he saw, and he was concerned, oh, why they're wearing such heavy garlands? You know, they're very, very heavy for the Lord to wear. You know, that's how they would see. So yeah, I mean, that may not bring as many people in the door. But that's the real thing. That's because this very majestic type of deity worship that you see in some places, that it's very attractive. Many people will come because of that. These very grand deities. But it's going away actually from what the real thing is. Oh, but you could also say it is more in the Vaikuntha mood. It is an authentic mood of worship, like in the Vaikuntha line, but not Vrindavan, not the Vrindavan. Okay, I should probably stop talking now.
Thank you so much, Vishakha.
Thank you, Didi. That was very nice.
Oh, good, Jita Krishna. I'm glad that was helpful. Radhana Rupini, nice to see you.
I'm actually waiting to go into the eye doctor's appointment, but in regards to the deity worship, I've always heard like these really grand altars like you were talking about, you know, with like so much opulence, was more like a Dwarka mood instead of the Vrindavan or Mayapur mood. You know, it was like a Dwarka, because
That's
in
a good
Dwarka,
point.
it's like there's so much wealth, you know.
Right.
So yeah, it's really, the mood is really an important thing. That simple. I mean, I know that whenever I sew for deities, whether they're whenever I sew for my deities or somebody else's deities, I always think about how soft is the fabric, feeling that shudder in the back of their neck. It's like 100% cotton, better than anything. Soft.
Nice, beautiful, Dee. Unfortunately, your connection's not so strong. You're breaking up quite a bit, but we think we got the gist of what you were saying, and very nice. Yes. And I think is that Chintamani saying, I certainly would feel less like an intruder in Dwarka than in Vrindavan.
Oh, that was actually me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I forgot that I needed
you're
to
signed in
change
to
my
right, 'cause
name
you're-
again. I'm signed in, yeah.
Okay. Right, because you're getting ready to host some of the meetings next week. That's right. Okay. Well, thank you, Tungarasa. All right, well, we're just about out of time. I'll just quickly say today is also, as I mentioned in the beginning, the day of departure of Sri Ramanuja, very great Vaishnava Acharya of the Sri Sampradaya. And he did so much work throughout India to establish the line of Vishnu Bhakti in particular. And from his young age, from his young early years as a boy. So we are very much indebted to him, particularly in South India. He is very prominent and has been very influential. So we want to offer our reverence to him. And our Gurudev had much appreciation for him, and we heard him tell a number of stories about him. So we want to offer our reverence to him on this day of his departure. Okay, well, Chinmoy Prabhu, over to you.
Well, Vishakha, thank you so much once again for being with us, and we hope you safe travels and auspicious visit to the Holy Dham.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Please
Yeah.
give your blessings for our pilgrimage party. We're departing this coming Sunday to India, and yeah, we'll be back at the end of the month, end of February.
Yes, and please, let us, when you come back, you can tell us everything that was in your journeys. So that would be very nice to hear.
Sure, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I'd love to.
Okay. Am I done about pranams, everyone? Jai Vishakha Devi Dasi ki Jai.
Jai.
Bhakti Sangha, Jai.
Thank you. Thank
Haribo.
you. So
Dandavat. Dandavat.
Dandavats, devotees. We'll see you on the 28th of February for online Sangha with Vishakha Devi Dasi. Take a little break. But don't worry,
Okay.
there are more
Dan-
Zoom meetings.
Okay, Dandavats, Chinmoy. Good to see
Chinmoy.
you.
Good to see you too, Rubo.